بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد. So we stopped on Hadith number 92. After Hadith number 91, we mentioned Hadith number 92, the Hadith of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. We gave a biography of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. We mentioned there are some issues concerning this hadith that has been collected by Imam al-Bukhari. That's all we'll say. And the main lesson from this hadith, Sanani, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, أخذ بهذا الحديث الشافعي وأحمد وأصحاب الحديث فاشترطوا أن لا تنقص الأحجار عن الثلاث مع مراعاة الإنقاء وإذا لم يحصل بها زاد حتى ينقى ويستحب الإيتار وتقدمت الإشارة إلى ذلك ولا يجب الإيتار لحديث أبي داود ومن لا فلا حرج تقدم. He says Imam Shafi'i, Imam Ahmad, and the people of Hadith, Ashab al-Hadith, they took this Hadith, they adopted this Hadith, and they based their madhab concerning this issue on this Hadith. And that is, you cannot have any less than 3 stones. 3 stones are mandatory. It's a condition. If 3 stones are not used, then you are impure and unclean. 3 stones, and we also explained how other things take the place of these stones. So in our modern times, in 2024, that would mean 3 rounds of the flushable wipes, or toilet paper, or baby wipes, or whatever else that a person uses with regards to cleaning him or herself after using the bathroom, with regards to the dry matter. And obviously a baby wipe or a flushable wipe is half dry, half wet. So for argument's sake, to keep things simple and plain and clear, toilet tissue, you would have to have 3 separate spins or rolls of the toilet tissue, and not 3 wipings with 1 piece of toilet tissue. Clear, inshallah. All right, that's first and foremost. He says, along with cleanliness, that after you wipe 3 times, you still have to be clean afterwards. Meaning, you can wipe 3 times, but you're still not clean. You're still not clean. There still remains traces of the impurity, okay? Let's say the excrement, all right? So therefore, after 3 wipings, 3 separate wipings, and you're still not fully 100% clean, then you'll have to do more until you're fully clean. And when you do more, it's recommended for it to be an odd number. So after 3, you're still not clean, you take the toilet tissue and there's still waste there, you won't stop with the 4th wiping, but with a 5th. And if not 5, then 7 and 9. وهكذا. We've previously mentioned that, Sanani says. And it isn't obligatory to have an odd number, but it's recommended. طيب. He then states, قال الخطابي لو كان القصد الإنقاء فقط لخلا ذكر اشتراط العدد عن الفائدة. طيب. All right. So the scholars, they differ on that, whether you have to have 3 or not. So some scholars, as we've just mentioned, say 3. And others say cleanliness. If it's 1 time, khalas. If it's 2 times, 4 times, it doesn't have to be 3. It doesn't have to be 3, regardless of the odd and the even. It doesn't have to be 3 times. So it could be 2 times. That's it. And obviously they use this hadith as a proof, stating that the Prophet ﷺ, he took the 2 stones and he threw the dung. All right. So that in itself is an argument. That in itself is an argument. Okay? طيب. Okay. Khairan, inshallah. So therefore, in summary, the best thing to do is to make sure that you have 3 separate pieces of tissue Not 3 wipings of the same. That's best to have 3 separate. And if you need more, then it should be an odd number. Khairan, inshallah ta'ala. All right. Sanani rahimahullah ta'ala says in conclusion, فعرفت من هذا كله أن الثلاثة الأحجار لم يرد الأمر بها والنهي عن أقل منها إلا في إزالة خارج الدبر إلى غير، ولم يأتي بها دليل في خارج القبل، والأصل عدم التقرير بعدد بل المطلوب إزالته لأثر البول من الذكر، فيكفي فيه واحدة مع أنه قد ورد بيان استعمال الثلاث في الدبر بأن واحدة للمسروبة واثنتين إلى آخره. Alright. He gives a great benefit here by saying is that the number of times being 3 is only pertaining to defecation. It's only pertaining to excrement. It isn't pertaining to urination. So you can use a piece of tissue only 1 time. No issue, no problem. When you just urinate. I don't have no water. All I have is a tissue. Once is enough. But for excretion, that is the discussion of the 3, etc. Khairan, inshaAllah ta'ala. These points here, we can never underestimate them. They're extremely important, especially on a daily practical basis for the everyday Muslim. Khairan, inshaAllah. Let's move forward. Hadith number 93. He says, وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال إن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم نهى عن يستنجى بعظم أو روث وقال إنهما لا يطهران رواه الدارقطني وصححه. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم forbade the use of bone and dung for istinja, for cleaning. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, إِنَّهُمَا لَا يُطَهِرَانِ, they do not clean. This hadith is collected by Ad-Daraqutni, and he also said that it was sound. Tayyib, alright. Khairan, inshallah. We previously mentioned this before, that these things cannot be used, and whatever dry matter you use to clean yourself from excretion or urination, it in itself has to be clean. It has to be clean itself. It cannot be something which is najas. Naam. Tayyib. Khairan, inshallah ta'ala. Alright. The bones being food for the Muslim jinn, and the dung being food for the animals of the Muslim jinn. There are different narrations stating that. Alright, tayyib. He then says here at the end, وفيه دليل على أن الاستنجاء بالأحجار طهارة لا يلزم معها الماء ونستحب لأنه علل بأنهما لا يطهران فأفاد أن غيرهما يطهر. Now the hadith states that they don't clean, they don't purify. He says this inadvertently proves is that other things do clean. Henceforth, water is not a condition of istinja. A Muslim is not required to use water. It's not mandatory, but it's recommended. It's recommended for sure, but it isn't an absolute must. And a Muslim can clean himself just with dry matter. Tayyib. As we previously stated before, the slowest and the weakest is the leader of the caravan. The rulings aren't based on the richest, the fastest, the biggest, the most modern, and the most advanced, but they're based off of the bare basic necessities. For the person in the middle of nowhere, on the side of the road, plane crashed, trains derailed, a person is lost, the person is in a prison camp, detained, and this is the only thing that he has to clean himself. And it isn't based off of you living in Boston or Chicago or Los Angeles or anywhere that you live in, Colorado, you live in London or Manchester, you live in this part of the world in which you have an abundance of things. You have running water, hot water, steamy showers, baths. You have so many different stores selling all types of sanitary things. We're not dealing with something as modern, advanced, and affluent and available. But we're talking about the Muslim who is a prisoner. The Muslim who is on the run, who's running for his life, hiding from the persecuting kuffar. And the only thing that he has to clean himself is stones. So no one misunderstand that and say, wow, Islam wants the people to take stones with them into the bathroom, so on and so forth. Tayyib. And a brief, before we move on to the next hadith, a brief joke. I remember once I was, if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to think where I was, whether I was in the United States or whether I was in Yemen. It was one of the two. We had went over a brother's house, and a brother wanted to use the bathroom, and he said, it's right there. So when he went to the bathroom, he was like, where's the istinja bottle at? Where's the water bottle? So the brother, he said, look in the other corner. And he looked in the other corner, the door was open. He didn't start using the bathroom yet. And he saw 3 rocks, 3 stones. So the brother's like, what is this? So the host, he said, well, you said you wanted to follow the sunnah, right? You said you wanted to follow the salaf. You salafi, you want to follow the sunnah. Bismillah. Here are the rocks. Here you go. The hadith clearly says rocks, stones, not running water. So then he said, I'll get you the bottle. Haha. The moral of the story was many things today that people can't even fathom. They can't even wrap their heads around the fact of using a rock and a stone. What type of stone? What type of rock? Is it to be smooth? Is it to be this shape, that shape? Let alone putting it on my, my rear end. What do you mean? But that's what the text states. And that is for the bare necessity, the bare minimum. It's not for the Muslim who lives in Switzerland and has clear means of hygiene and cleanliness, and so many things are available at the tip of your fingers. You use water, of course, but we're talking about bare necessities. All right, tayyib. Moving forward to hadith number 94. The author says, وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم استنزهوا من البول فإن عامة عذاب القبر من رواه الدارقطني. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrates that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, remove yourselves, be far from, protect yourselves from urine. For indeed, most of the punishment in the grave comes from urine. And this hadith is collected by Ad-Daraqutni. Once again, the hadith says, وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم استنزهوا من البول فإن عامة عذاب القبر منه. رواه الدارقطني. The hadith says, stay far away from urine, for indeed most of the punishment in the grave comes from urine. And hadith is collected by Daraqutni. Daraqutni, obviously, Imam Daraqutni, a great hadith compiler and critic of the 4th century. All right, the main lesson from this hadith, or before we get into the main lesson, some of the wording, istanzihu. Sanani says, من التنزه وهو البعد بمعنى تنزه أو بمعنى أطلب النزاهة. So this word istanzihu, it means stay far away. Al-bu'd, stay far away. Remove yourselves. Be remote from it. Don't be in close proximity to it. Meaning, don't allow the urine to splash on you. Clean yourself after you urinate. Don't underestimate urine. Don't scorn it. Oh, it's just a little bit. Oh, it's no big deal. Stay away from it, because people will be punished in the graves because of their lack of protecting themselves, them failing to protect themselves from urine. And we can just stop here for a second. Allah musta'an. And just think about the world today. Just think about the life of a Muslim versus the life of a non-Muslim. Think about all of the differences between Muslim and non-Muslim. And Tawheed, your Aqidah, your Iman, your Akhlaq, your worship. But just think what it's like to be a disbeliever. You go to the bathroom and it's nothing. Just, For men, at least, and of course, many women too. But for sure, for men, you just, go to the bathroom. You're in the airport or the train station. You see the men in the stalls, the john or whatever, and they just urinate, just pee, standing, odor, and just shake it, and that's it. How much urine is on them, their bodies, their clothes? Think about that. It's unfortunate. Think about the punishment of the grave. It's very unfortunate. Think about the non-Muslims and just, you don't pray all day long. How does 24 hours pass without making salah? Without wudu? It's amazing. The blessing of Islam. And of course, the tragedy of so many Muslims who, unfortunately, follow some of those bad practices of not making istinja, not cleaning themselves properly, urinating, having the urine splash on them or their clothes, or not making salah. A'udhu billah. Allah musta'an. Tayyib. All right. The main lesson from this hadith is clear, and that is the obligation of avoiding direct contact with urine. The obligation or the impermissibility of avoiding, or give or take, the obligation of the impermissibility of having direct contact with urine, with human urine. And to be precise here, with grown adult human urine. Why do we say grown and adult? Because there are different fiqh dynamics and rulings pertaining to the urine of a baby, whether that's a boy or a girl, and how old, toddler, infant, etc. And there are fiqh rulings pertaining to the urine of different animals, such as an animal whose flesh is consumable in Islam, an animal that you can eat, i.e. a goat, a sheep, a cow, a camel, a chicken, an animal that's halal to be slaughtered and consumed. That urine is a discussion on whether that's najis or not. So we said grown adult human urine. That is haram to come in direct contact with it on your body and your skin, your clothes, all right, your bed, wherever it is. You have to avoid it. All right, tayyib. And of course, the main lesson from the hadith as well also shows us is the affirmation of the punishment of the grave. May Allah help us all. Sanani rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وَالْحَدِيثُ آمِنٌ بِالْبُعْدِ عَنِ الْبَوْلِ وأن عقوبة عدم التنزه منه تعجل في القبر وقد ثبت حديث صحيحين أنه صلى الله عليه وسلم مر بقبرين يعذبان ثم أخبر أن عذاب أحدهما أنه كان لا يستنزه من البول أو أنه لا يستتر من بوله من الاستتار أي لا يجعل بينه وبين بوله ساترا يمنعه عن الملامسة له أو لأنه لا يستبرئ من الاستبراء أو لأنه لا يتوقاه وكلها ألفاظ واردة في الروايات والكل مفيد لتحريم ملامسة البول وعدم التحرز منه وقد اختلف الفقهاء هل إزالة النجاسة فرض أو لا. He says the hadith clearly states, it clearly teaches us to stay far away from this urine, and that the punishment of not staying far away from this urine is punishment in the grave. The punishment will be expedited or expedited for you in the grave. And then he mentions the hadith in Bukhari and Muslim, in which the Prophet ﷺ passed by the two graves, and they were being punished. And he told us that one of the people was being punished because he never protected himself from urine. He never protected himself from urine. He never hid himself from urine. He never removed himself from urine. He never avoided urine. All of these different wordings of the hadith, versions of the hadith, prove one thing, as we've just stated, that it's haram to come into direct contact with this urine. Your clothes, your skin, your shoes, your boots, your underpants, your underwear, men's underwear, women's underwear, period. Then he says the fuqaha, they differ on whether removing najasa is fard or not, is mandatory or not. Do you have to remove the najasa or not? Very interesting discussion, right? He says, فقال مالك إزالتها ليست بفرض. Malik, may Allah have mercy upon him, he says is that it's not mandatory to remove the najasa. Interesting, huh? Very interesting. So people say that the Malikis, I'm Maliki, Malik's madhab. All right, tayyib. Do you know this? According to this text, is what this states, that you do not have to remove najasa. You should, but you don't have to. That's very interesting, to say the least. وقال الشافعي إزالتها فرض ما عدا ما يعفى عنه منها. الشافعي rahimahullah ta'ala, he said the exact opposite. It is mandatory. You have to remove it, except for that which one is excused and pardoned. That which one is excused and pardoned from. Something that you can't help, that's out of your control, beyond your reach, whatever the case may be. واستدل على الفرضية أو الفرضية بحديث التعذيب على عدم التنزه من البول وهو وعيد لا يكون إلا على ترك فرض. And the Shafi'i, of course, as a proof, one of the proofs that he used for this madhab was the hadith, which is clear as day. This man is being punished in his grave because he did not clean, he did not remove himself, he did not stay far away from urine. He says, وَاعْتَذَرَ لِمَالِكٍ عَنِ الْحَدِيثِ أو وَاعْتُذِرَ لِمَالِكٍ عَنِ الْحَدِيثِ بأنه يحتمل أنه عذب لأنه كان يترك البول يسيل عليه فيصلي بغير طهور لأن الوضوء لا يصح مع وجوده ولا يخفى أن أحاديث الأمر بالذهاب إلى المخرج بالأحجار والأمر بالاستطابة دالة على وجوب إزالة النجاسة وفي دلالة على نجاسة البول. He says, and whether he means Shafi'i here or other scholars, they've made an excuse for Malik. They've tried to find some justification for Malik saying this, even though the hadith is clear, by saying it's possible that he is only punished for allowing the urine to pour upon him, and he would pray without being clean. He would pray without being clean, and that he would allow the urine to yasilu alayhi, to drip and pour on him, and then pray without cleaning himself. And that's because one cannot make wudu along with the najasa on him. Sanani, obviously, he says it's pretty clear. The hadith clearly command and order us to clean ourselves, to stay away from, to istitaba, clean yourself, purify yourself when you go to when you relieve yourself, etc. We're not here to discuss this fiqh point in detail, nor are we here to criticize the great imams of Islam and find fault in them. That's not the point. But we're just dealing with the point, the ruling, the discussion, not the man. Many people become fanatical and they get caught up in the love and the hate of a man versus looking at what the man said and did. He can't be wrong because he's this man. He can't be right because this is the individual. This can't be a virtuous action because it's this personality. It's no way he could have done that or thought about it. Many people, most of us, we get caught up in that, right? They get caught up in Malik instead of what Malik said. What's his proof and evidence? What logic and reason? What the scholastic research is being done to see what's right and wrong? Most people today, unfortunately, Malik, that's it. Imam Dar al-Hijrah. End of discussion. Khalas. There's nothing else more to be said. And I've witnessed this. I've witnessed this in different Muslim, Arab, whatever countries. I've seen it with my own two eyes. I've seen people do things, I've done things, and I've seen people talk. They asked the Imam. I was in a country once, and it was an issue with regards to combining the salah or shortening the prayer as a traveler, and Maghrib, Isha, blah, 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 blah. So as I was finished the salah, I was putting on my shoes, walking out the masjid, I heard the guy talking, and I had seen the guy looking at me, and I heard him talking. This was a Maliki country that I was in. I heard him talking, And the Imam, the guy was like saying, oh, what did he do? Da, 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 da. And the Imam's answer was, this was the Imam's answer. He said, I heard him saying, scholars unanimously agree that the soundest madhab is Malik's madhab. That's his end of discussion. That's it. That's the deal, that what he did was wrong, and what he should have done was what we do, because Malik has the soundest madhab. He's the Imam Dar al-Hijrah. Khalas. It's very sad. And it's no different with the Hanafis, unfortunately, even though we do not condone the reckless bashing of Hanafis. I repeat, we do not condone and promote that. The reckless bashing of Abu Hanifa and Hanafis and the disrespect to Abu Hanifa, we don't condone that. That's not our way. Alhamdulillah. It's been years we've been saying this. Criticism is criticism against me, anyone. But we don't just hate Abu Hanifa just to hate Abu Hanifa. Nor do we hate and criticize and bash the Hanafis just because they're Hanafis, as many people do. And that isn't the way. It isn't the way. All right? If you go back to a debate or discussion, why, how, Abu Hanifa. That's it. That's the dalil. Shafi'i said Abu Hanifa is the Imam of the Fuqaha. Everyone is indebted to him. Khalas. End of discussion. They agree Imam Abu Hanifa is the greatest faqih, the greatest Imam. End of discussion. No different with the Shafi'is and their fanaticism and bigotry. And with some Hanbalis, not all, and you have to be fair, the fanaticism and the bigotry I don't think is as bad. It's a fact that it isn't as bad and volatile as it is with the other madhabs, especially the Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i. It's a fact. But there are fanatics, and there are bigots, and there are zealots as well. Imam Ahmed, Imam Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, khalas, in the discussion. And it's no different with today's modern times. If two students of Hadith sit down and debate the authenticity of a Hadith, and one is a blind follower, or he's not that strong in his research, Albani, khalas. Well, I don't agree with Sheikh Albani. May Allah have mercy on him, with all love and respect. But I'm dealing with the research. Albani, khalas. Who are you? You can't disrespect. I'm not disrespecting Sheikh Albani. What are you talking about? I'm reading and studying the Hadiths like Imam Albani did. And I agree with Bukhari and Ahmed and Tirmidhi. No, you think you know more than Albani, and the list goes on. It's unfortunate. Instead of dealing with the facts. And that is why scholars have taught us in Al-Munsif, ينظروا إلى ما قال ولا ينظروا إلى من قال. The fair man, the just man, is he who looks at what was said and not who said it. Look at the statement and the action, not the personality. Hating that personality or loving that personality. So that's a big problem in Islamic scholarship. And many people, they try to force their different madhabs upon people, and they lie. They sell the madhabs like a cheap perfume, you know. They like a used car salesman, that is simple and everything is easy and perfect and beautiful, but they don't share the realities with the people. And at many different points that their imams stated, or the people after them stated, they themselves would never ever practice. They don't even know about it themselves, because they're not even digging that deep into the research and study of that school. So this is just food for thought. You're following a madhab that states you do not have to remove najasa from your body. طيب. Sanani rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وَفِي دِلَالَةٌ عَلَى نَجَاسَةِ الْبَوْلِ. And this hadith also proves that urine is najis. And as we previously stated, not all types of urine is najis. He says, والحديث نص في بول الإنسان لأن الألف واللام في البول في حديث الباب عوض عن المضاف أي عن بوله بدليل لفظ البخاري في صاحب القبرين فإنه ما بلفظ كان لا يستنزه عن بوله ومن حمله على جميع الأبوال وأدخل في أبوال الإبل كالمصنف في فتح الباري فقد تعسف وقد بينا وجه التعسف في هوامش فتح الباري. Sanani concludes his discussion on this hadith by speaking on what we just explained and simplified rather more than once, is that not all urine is najis, but the urine of insan, of a human being, right? And he explains why and how in the Arabic language. And he says some scholars, such as the author, Ibn Hajar, Hafid ibn Hajar, who state that all urine is najis, even the urine of camels, he says then they're stretching it. They're reaching. Ta'assafa, they're reaching. It's not accurate. It's inaccurate to say that. It's inaccurate to say that all urine is najis. All right. So this is a proof of everything I just said. The author, San'ani, rahimahullah, he's not taken away by the awe of Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar to say what he believes is correct and to state that what Hafidh ibn Hajar said was incorrect. Tayyib. All right, so before we move on to the next hadith, another fa'idah. This hadith can also be used. Tayyib. We'll leave that for now. That's a different discussion. All right, hadith number 95. The author, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وَلِلْحَاكِمْ أَكْثَرُ عَذَابِ الْقَبْرِ مِنَ الْبَوْلِ وَهُوَ صَحِيحُ الْإِسْنَادِ. He mentions another hadith here, collected by Al-Hakim, Abu Abdullah al-Naysaburi, who died in the early years of the 5th century. He says that there's another version that states most of the punishment in the grave comes from urine. Most of the punishment in the grave comes from urine. Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar, he says, and this chain of narration is sound. طيب. Sanani rahimahullah ta'ala, he then states here, هذا كلامه هنا وفي التلخيص ما لفظه للحاكم وأحمد وابن ماجه أكثر عذاب القبر من البول وعله أبو حاتم وقال إن رفعه باطل ولم يتعقبه بحرف وهنا جزم بصحته فاختلف كلامه كما تراه ولم يتنبه الشارح رحمه الله لذلك فأقر كلامه هنا والحديث يفيد ما أفاده الأول واختلف في عدم الاستنزاه هل هو من الكبائر أو من الصغائر. So he talks about here how the author says that this narration is sound, his chain is sound, and in another book he mentions how some scholars said that it is a statement of a sahabi. It's mawquf. A sahabi said it, and the one who attributed to the Prophet ﷺ has erred. All right, the meaning is sound with regards to urine being a means of punishment in the grave. But can we say that most of the punishment in the grave is from urine? That's a different level. Maybe, maybe not. All right, moving forward. He says here, the hadith proves what we previously explained, that it's haram to come in direct contact with that type of urine, and that is najis. He then states, and the scholars, they differ with regards to a person not cleaning himself from urine and being far away from urine. Is it a major sin or is it a minor sin? It's haram, that's clear, but is it a major sin or a minor sin? And going back to that Malik madhab, there is a difference between allowing the urine to spill on you, to drip on you, splash on you, versus it being obligatory for you to remove it and take it off of your body. There are two different levels, right? طيب. He says, وسبب الاختلاف حديث صاحب القبرين فإن فيه وما يعذبان في كبير بلا إنه لكبير. All right, so the reason why they differ whether it's a major or minor sin is that previously mentioned hadith regarding the men of the graves. The Prophet ﷺ says that they're being punished, but they aren't being punished for something major. And then he said, Bala, rather it is something major. بعد أن ذكر أنه أحدهما أذب بسبب عدم الاستبراء من البول فقيل إن نفيه صلى الله عليه وسلم كبر ما يعذبان فيه أو إن النفي صلى الله عليه وسلم كبر ما يعذبان فيه يدل على أنه من الصغائر ورد بأن قوله بلى إنه لكبير يرد هذا وقيل بل أراد أنه ليس بكبير في اعتقادهما أو في اعتقاد المخاطبين وعند الله كبير وقيل ليس بكبير في مشقة الاحتراز وجزم بهذا البغوي ورجحه ابن دقيق العيد وقيل غير ذلك وعلى هذا فهو من الكبائر. So the Prophet ﷺ says they're being punished, but they aren't being punished for something which is kabir, big or large, major. And then he said bala, nay, rather it is kabir. So Some say that it clearly proves that it was a minor sin. Others say it proves that it's a major sin, but it was minor in the eyes of the man who was punished. It was minor in the eyes of the people he was speaking to. With the Sahaba, they didn't think much of it. Or it was minor with regards to it wasn't difficult to avoid. It was something that you could have easily stayed away from. All right, so that will conclude our discussion of this hadith. And let's just think about this. People who say that Islam is harsh and hard and difficult and strict and severe and there's too many rules. And unfortunately, the Muslims within the Muslims who say that certain Muslims, mutashaddid, mutawa, you're just harsh, Sheikh Qasi, it's difficult, everything's haram, everything's bid'ah, you're too strict. Whoa. How difficult is it to clean yourself when you urinate? How much time does it take? How much money does it cost you? How burdensome is it just to clean yourself when you urinate? Don't allow the urine to splash on your body. Sitting or standing, that's a different discussion. And if it does splash on your shoes or on your clothes or you have an accident, you clean it off. You wash it off. You bismillah. And how it takes 2 seconds to use a water bottle, a spring water bottle, a hose, a shattaf, they say in Medina, a bidet, whatever the mechanism is. A baby wipe, you wet a paper towel, a tissue. How long does it take you? How much energy, how much money does it cost you? So this is something that we must teach our young children from day one. When you go to the bathroom, son or daughter, you have to clean yourself. And when you're traveling, son, for football or soccer or basketball or college, you have to prioritize your Islamic values. You have to have what you're going to clean yourself before you go into the bathroom. You don't go into the bathroom and say, oh, wait a second, I don't have any water. Because you cleaning yourself with water, and if not, then tissue, as we said, but we're talking about water now, that has to be of the utmost importance. Like non-Muslims prioritize so many other things in their lives. It's of utmost importance for me to have this and for me to have that. So if it's an important part of your life, a necessary part of your life, you have to make the necessary preparations. So I'm on an airplane, I packed my flushable wipes. I'm on an airplane, I packed a small bottle of water that can go through TSA. I'm on a train, I'm in school, blah, blah, blah. You have to strategize something that is a priority in your life. And if you don't, then that proves you either it's not a priority in your life as a Muslim, or you're heedless and absent-minded. And as the Arabs, they say, ahlahuma mur, the sweetest of the two is bitter. It's not important to be clean. The punishment in the grave is not a big deal. Or you just keep forgetting, but you didn't forget your phone and your charger. You didn't forget your headphones. You didn't forget this. You didn't forget that. You didn't forget to get your coffee. You didn't forget that. But, I forgot to clean myself. There's no water, so I just, walked out. Allah musta'an. It's very unfortunate the things that we don't prioritize in our lives as Muslims. And then we claim to love Islam and love the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and want to go to Jannah. May Allah help us all. Wallahu ta'ala alam wa sallallahu sallam wa barak ala abdihi rasulihi nabiyina wa imamina Muhammad.